Hi everyone, it's Seke and I recently finished my 7th sketchbook, which means I have a new fresh sketchbook cover to paint. So get your snacks, get your sketchbooks out and draw along with me. And we'll get started. Of course, I already have a few thumbnails done in this sketchbook right at the end. So I have 3 thumbnails this time around. I have this little one right here, which is kind of like, it's one of my new characters that's sitting on a brick wall with a, I don't know what they're called. But anyway, the next one is Lucian, my dragon OC, kind of playing around a little bit with magic. And finally, I love this one so much. It's also Lucian. He is dressed as a knight and he's riding a horse in water, and behind him in the dark is like 2 eyes looking at him. I love it, but I think it's gonna work better if I use this thumbnail on one of my square sketchbooks because it takes a bit of space. I think it will look better on a bigger one. So, I have decided I'm gonna go with this one for my yellow sketchbook. I think it will work really well. I'm gonna use a bit more earthy themes, like a little bit more browns, oranges, and also a little bit of purple because this character has purple hair. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing. So, it's time to start. I started off by sketching in a red pencil on the cover, but it barely showed up like at all, which worked out good to like make the layout of the box, but it wouldn't really show up on the video, so when I started sketching the actual character, I switched to a blue pencil. And it's still not all that visible, but it's better anyways. The surface of the sketchbook is kind of slippery, which makes it really hard for the pencil to stick on the cover. However, that also does, in a way, work in my favor, since it does make sure that the sketch is really light and that it can be easily erased. But that also means it doesn't really show up very well on the video, so I do apologize about that. I honestly don't have that much to say about the whole sketching process. It all went pretty smoothly, so I will be back when it's time to start painting, and I'll just leave you guys with some music. With the sketch complete, it is now time to start painting, but before that we're gonna be using some masking tape to put around the box. so that the lines are kept very nice and straight. When it comes to using acrylics, I am not very good at it, and I rarely use them either for that matter. But lately I've been really wanting to get into using them again, so I pulled them out and decided that my next sketchbook cover would be using acrylic paints. The cover of the sketchbook is definitely not the best surface to be using them on. It's quite a glossy surface, and I probably should have put down a layer of white paint underneath before I started painting in the orange. Because when I started to apply the orange that was supposed to cover the background, it didn't really blend all that well. At times it felt kind of like I was just pushing it around. But once I did have that first coat down on the surface, everything became a lot easier. And I was able to slowly build up that nice orange gradient. I tried very hard to preserve the original sketch that I had of the character by painting the orange around it. When I did have that first coat down, I decided to go in with some brown and make a tree. Originally, I actually wanted to make a city landscape, but I ended up changing my mind, so I just painted a tree. Partially because it's easier for me. Me and architecture, we don't match. I have never been able to draw buildings or any sort of that architectural stuff. It's something I definitely need to practice on, and I will eventually, but right now, I'm not doing that. I want my sketchbook cover to look nice. I don't want it to be a practice ground. So why draw buildings that I don't know how to draw when I can just draw trees? And I'm much happier drawing trees. They're organic, they have fun shapes. I love that. And if I mess up, it's fine, because trees are weird anyway. No one's gonna notice if it's a little wonky. They're just gonna be like, oh, it's just how the tree looks, so it's all good. I think I ranted about trees long enough now. Now, this is also the point where I turned my camera off to do a little bit of off-camera painting, and I got really into it, so I completely forgot to turn it back on. So you can see that I have done a little bit of work, creating some texture and some leaves. I do apologize about that. It's going to happen again later on in the video, but I did try my best to film as much as possible. If you're a fellow artist that also tries to be a bit more active on social media, I feel like you get me. You know, when you get really into it and then you're like, oh shit, I was supposed to be filming that part, and you can't go back and like film it, so you just gotta roll with it and hope it'll be okay. Anyways, back to the painting. When I was done with drawing the leaves, I went in with the hair with a little bit of a dark brown color, and that made me realize I really need to get a smaller brush, because I had such trouble with getting the tiny edges of the hair, like the small strands. They became too big, and when I tried to fix it, they just became bigger and it became a problem. Yeah, I need to get a smaller brush. Other than that, I didn't really have many issues at all. Probably should have gone in with the skin color before I did the hair, but it ended up being fine. I just did it after I did the first layer of the hair, and I could just paint over it, so it's all good. That's part of the reason I love acrylics, because you can just erase your mistakes, you can paint over them. You don't have to see them. That's a problem I've had with watercolor, because I want to erase. I make a mistake, I want to erase it, I want to just paint over it. I can't do that. That is partially why I want to start using acrylics as well. It's a lot more forgiving in that regards. Anyways, I'll leave you guys with some music, and I'll be back when I have some commentary. At first I wanted to make the shirt lean a bit more towards the brown, but after that first layer I ended up just making it a dark brown instead, almost a black color. I think it adds some more nice contrast, and since he does have a black shirt normally, it fits him really well. I then used the same color to paint the Chinese tobacco pipe, and I did struggle a bit with making the tiny thin lines. It kind of looks a bit wonky, but I guess it looks more handmade, so it works out. You'll also notice that there is a bit of a jump in my painting process, from him not having any pants on to having pants on, shaded sort of. Once again, I forgot to turn my camera back on after I turned it off so that I wouldn't have to deal with like 10-20 minute videos. I think this is the last time it happens though, hopefully. Anyways, I ended up using a light yellow as the base for the wall he's sitting on. At first I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to make the wall like just regular bricks or some other type of stone, but I ended up making it a regular brick wall, which I think fits really well in with the color scheme. I also tried to add a bit more variation on the bricks by painting a few darker, which I really like. It adds some very well needed variation and makes the piece more interesting overall. Sorry, my voice is like half dead right now. It's like disappearing, so the sound might not be all that great right now. Drawing the smaller details is usually my favorite part of the process and always so satisfying. I love seeing the piece finally start coming together after being in that ugly phase for a while. You can see me painting the braids in the background. And to save time on drawing the braids, I decided to just make a bunch of dots that kind of overlap a bit, which does give a pretty good illusion of being braids. When I was adding the green at the bottom of the braids, I tried to fix it kind of by just making the first one that I painted on a bit longer. And it did sort of work. It looks a lot better, but it still bothers me a bit, and I notice it. Like, most people probably wouldn't really pay much attention to it, but I notice it, and now probably you too, because I told you. Anyways, the next step is adding some purple hair on his arms, closer to his hand and wrists, and on his chin, of course, and a little bit on his ears as well. After that, I went in with a light grey and made horns. In order to make them kind of blend in better with the piece, I added some purple hair on the bottom. As usual, I ended up having the same problem with the horns that I've had with the whole piece. I can't make thin lines. I ended up making the horns too thick once again. So I kind of went in with my nail on my thumb to kind of like scratch that off. It did sort of ish work, so then I went back to paint it again, and I did the same mistake twice in a row. So I kind of just went with it. You know, not to fat shame his horns or anything, but they have put on a bit of weight. They're not usually this thick. I decided to add some rim light around the character, both to make him kind of stand out more from the background, to kind of make him pop, but I also really wanted to show that there is sunlight hitting him, which I think it does an excellent job of doing. If I ever need just a little extra spice to the drawing, I always like rim light. That's my go-to. As you can see, I've also switched to an acrylic marker instead of using the pencil for those really fine details. I find that it's a lot easier to get a thin stroke with them, so for the really small things, I'm gonna use acrylic markers from now on, at least until I have a smaller brush. I decided to add a little bit of colored pencil on top of the painting to get that really smooth kind of gradient look. If I had used either acrylic markers or acrylic paints, it would have created a lot harsher lines, which I didn't want for this piece. There's enough harsh lines in it. I think the colored pencils worked absolutely phenomenally. They added just a very subtle color change that isn't super noticeable, but it does make a difference. I also went in with the darker color to kind of create a sort of line art on the piece without it being overpowering. I just wanted like a subtle line art that would separate the character from the background. I think I might have overdone it on a few parts, but overall, I really like the result. At this point, the character is pretty much finished, so right now I am working on kind of like vines that are going to be covering the edges, sort of. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's gonna look cool. With that, the sketchbook cover is finished, but the work is not. I'm going to use something called fixative, which is a clear liquid spray that I can use to seal the drawing underneath basically, or in this case the painting. It basically helps to protect the painting from damage that can happen over time. I'm pretty sure that this spray is actually supposed to be used for like pencil drawings to prevent smudging, but it does work for this too. I will be doing this outside because I don't really want to be breathing in that spray. I also ended up taping the pages of the book as well as the strap so that I don't get any fixative on those. The first coating is supposed to be pretty thin, and then I'm supposed to let it dry for a period of time, maybe like 15 minutes maybe. After that, I take it out and put on a slightly thicker layer, and then it should be protected. I ended up letting it dry for about a couple hours afterwards, and look at that shine! I'm not too big of a fan of how shiny it is, but it's worth it because it protects the painting. Look at how pretty this is! I am very happy with this sketchbook cover. I think it might be one of my favorites actually. I really like the colors and how the vines kind of continue on the back of the sketchbook, and I love everything about it. Painting sketchbook covers are always so much fun. I can't get enough of it. I wish I could do this on a weekly basis. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed making it. And if you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe or comment. I really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.